Hey YouTube, it's me, it's the man who likes to rant, dropping a brand new VID for you today. And the topic of the day today for me is the WWE Network. I want to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly with it. Now, obviously, if you paid attention to the Royal Rumble review, you know me and my buddy Mr. Rodriguez watched the Royal Rumble on the network as it happened live, at least for the most part. I say most part because this event for us as we watched it was littered with hiccups and sound drop-offs and random rewinds 30 seconds in the past that we didn't ask for and didn't cause. And this seems to be a giant problem with the WWE whenever they have an event of big consequence. And by big consequence, I mean the big four that they have throughout the year. Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, and of course Mania. And I did that out of order, but you get the idea. Those are the four that if you're a wrestling fan and you don't want to watch the other 4 and 8 pay-per-views throughout the rest of the year, math, not my strongest suit. Anyway, if you don't want to watch the rest of them and you just want to see what WWE does for most of the year, those are the 4 pay-per-views you as a wrestling fan need to watch. But you can't do that because as much as some of you out there may be saying, "Oh, Ranter, you just had problems watching it because your internet was bad." Look, my friend doesn't have the best internet in the world. In fact, his reputation is quite shoddy. For those of you who are curious what it is, I won't drop names specifically, but I will tell you it starts with an M and ends with an Ediacom. But it's not really any different than when I watch it at home if I try to watch a live event. And my internet speeds, while not the best in the world, should certainly be stable enough to support watching an event without hiccups and sound drop-offs. So what does that mean? It means that WWE as a business does not have the proper infrastructure in place to support a mass arrival on the network when people do want to watch a main event or big purpose pay-per-view. They can't handle the giant flow of consumers that are coming on the network at any one time. And this is a problem because WWE is relying heavily on the network and network subscriptions in order to drive the revenue higher. This is how they're putting the biggest portion of the resources that they have into this in an effort to generate money. Now let's go over some of the numbers they need. Vince McMahon made it clear almost from the launch of the network, almost from the inception, that he required at least 1 million subscribers in order to begin to break even. 1 million is a huge number for breaking points. And if that is your break-even point, you are expecting huge things to happen because you're expecting your rabid fan base just to come. And a lot of us do. I love the network. I love it because if I get in the mood to binge watch a certain pay-per-view year after year, I can do that. I can do it fairly easily, especially with the older stuff because nobody's really watching it anymore. But it also becomes a problem as it relates to your current product. There are a lot of disgruntled wrestling fans out there that are choosing to cancel their subscription to the network because they don't want to support your product right now. And they don't want to support your product because it's too sugary sweet from what we grew up on in the Attitude Era. Now, I just mentioned the Attitude Era, but that does not mean that I think the Attitude Era was the end-all, be-all in good wrestling. What it was the end-all, be-all in was provocative wrestling. They told stories week to week that I had to tune back in and say, "Ooh, I wonder what Stone Cold's going to do this week. Ooh, what's going to happen with The Rock and DX? What's going to happen with the Nation of Domination and this, that, and the other?" They told stories that made you want to come back every week to see what would happen next. This current WWE product has not only sabotaged stories, but they have outright discontinued them in favor of what they think would be best for business. It does not do you favors as a company when, I know I brought this up several times before, but one more time, when Seth Rollins was fighting Dean Ambrose in the Money in the Bank, and he says, you know what? You guys have said I need to do this on my own. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to do it. I'm going to beat Dean Ambrose on my own because I'm the best wrestler you have. He goes out and does it. And then what happens? The very next night on Raw, he's right back to kissing the Authority's butt. Why? Why? Why is it that when you had the Authority versus Roman Reigns, you gave him people to watch his back in the Usos and Ambrose, and every time he's in trouble, Usos and Ambrose are nowhere to be seen? Some of you could make the argument that the Authority made sure to involve them in matches so they wouldn't be up to coming out. But given how quickly we've seen wrestlers recover from beatings for the sake of advancing a storyline, I don't buy it. You could have them out there any week you wanted. And I think that, getting back on topic with the network, I think it really comes down to hardcore fans like myself, which you know WWE has, are going to love the network because we're going to want to go back, and maybe there's a few pay-per-views from the other companies we missed. Maybe we didn't get much exposure to WCW because we thought they sucked, and we can go back and watch them now and see if we were right or we were wrong. FYI, you're mostly right, because WCW, while it caught lightning in a bottle with the New World Order, but really, I mean, that was all they had. That's the problem. See, WCW back then has the problem that WWE has now, in that they only were concerned about booking the New World Order and not worried about anybody else on the roster. They do the same thing with Cena in WWE. They did the same thing. They're doing the same thing now with Roman. It seems that they'll take care of the guy that's on top and to heck with everybody else. And they would say that it's because nobody is reaching for the brass ring. Well, Vince, I hate to tell you, but you have to give them the opportunity to reach for said brass ring. And you aren't. They're close, they're at the end of that fishing pole, and then you reel it in just a little bit so they stretch higher, and they can't seem to do it. You have talent. In fact, I dare say, between the pool of talent you have on the main roster now, if used correctly, and the influx of young talent you can pull from NXT, you may have as deep a roster as I've ever seen. You are refusing to use it properly because you think the way you've done things for years has worked, and your fan base, be it casual or hardcore, is asking for more. It's asking for a return to more mature content and more adult lines because it gives the talent more tools to work with. But you're content to make this PG era crap work. And why? So you can keep your contract with Mattel to make action figures. So you can keep publications talking about you, so you can project a family-friendly image because you're now a publicly traded company. Then think about when you made money. You pushed the envelope. You have to trust that your fan base has parents that are willing to tell little Johnny and little Steven and little Susie that you can watch this, but it's very important. It's very important that you understand that you can't do this on a normal society. And yes, some parents will elect to change the channel because they don't want their impressionable child watching this. But let's think about why your fan base has gotten younger. It's because their mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, brothers, sisters, aunts and uncles, whatever you want to throw in there, have introduced them to a product that they used to watch and showed them videos and DVDs and took them on the network and said, this is what I used to watch and this is why I thought it was cool and I want to share this with you. But it's losing that because you are choosing not to tell the stories. You're trying to tell stories, but they're disjointed. They don't make sense. They don't follow up from one week to the other. You can get a few gems, and you know what's sad? Like, I've ragged on the New Day a lot. I'm not a fan of the characters. However, I will admit that I'm more likely to be disenchanted by heels than I am baby faces. I do like some heels, and I'm not saying you can't like heels and you can't like baby faces, but what I am saying is the whole reason New Day is working as well as it is, if you want my honest opinion, they've reached a point where they basically say, I don't give an F about what people think. We're going to go out and we're going to do what we want to do with this gimmick and let's see if it floats. And fortunately for them, it does. Now, I'm sure there are a lot of wrestlers that are in that position, but they are in a more expendable role, like a Stardust, who I love to death, by the way, like a Zack Ryder, for example. These wrestlers are expendable in WWE's eyes, so they're more afraid to take a chance. But one of the things that I would expect WWE to do, if they want to right this sinking ship that is their product, is you're going to have to give your talent a chance to push the envelope and see how people respond to it. Now, if there is a massive uptake in negative press and you get a lot of negative PR from something that pushed the envelope that people didn't like, then you address that and you deal with it. But the way you're doing things now to just sugarcoat everything in the interest of keeping everything PG, quite frankly, Vince, it shows acts of cowardice on your part. You know what made you successful in the Monday Night Wars? It was your ability to evolve. Your product has not evolved in a long time, Mr. McMahon. You have sat stagnant, and in fact, that stagnancy has pushed a devolution. It becomes a lot harder for me to tune into Raw and SmackDown, and I haven't even watched Main Event. I'm sure it's still a thing because I see it on the network on Wednesday night. And Superstar to me doesn't even exist because that's just basically Jobber Central. You're feeding us the same crap every week. Does it fill our bellies? Yes, but we get disgusted by it because we want new things, new vibrant characters. And while I'm at it, one point that someone made when I was talking to them, they do this in NXT, and I think it would help that you incorporate this on the main roster. I know you have a Divas Championship, but referring to your female competitors as divas is a dated reference that has long since run its course. And when you look up the term diva, it is mostly a derogatory term for a female, someone who's prissy and high maintenance and all this. And you don't want that. You want your women to be portrayed as strong, beautiful, independent, hard-working women. So just call them that. Women. You once had a women's championship, and I dare say from the time that belt existed alongside the Divas Championship, I always focused on the women's champion because to me, that was a more true representation of what you are going for with your quote-unquote Divas Revolution. But needless to say, you're not fixing the myriad of problems, and I think if an executive from WWE were to sit down and look at this video and the number of other videos that I and others have done to point out the myriad of problems that you have and begin to address them in a proper sense, I think you'd see subscribers come in to the network, which would get you more money. You would see more people watching Raw, which would get you more money. You would see more people buying merchandise to support people other than John Cena, which would get you more money. I know Cena's your top merch mover, and that's not going to change, but you could see other shirts in the crowd if you gave them a reason to get behind other characters, or to hate other characters. They don't have to like them. If they hate them and they react every time they come out, that's just as good, because it puts more money in your pocket. Vince, can you see that you would be a richer man if you took the steps that I have outlined in recent videos and began to implement them, instead of just looking at your fan base that have rapidly complained about such things and assuming that they don't know what they're talking about because you're the guy who's running the company and you'll tell us what we like and what we don't? That's why we hate you. That's why we want change. And that's why eventually we will seek change. I tell you what, my fan base is minimum, but to anyone who watches this video, or any of my other videos, if there are pieces of advice that you think I give that could make WWE more profitable and return it to a place of prominence that we used to watch, I encourage you. Take this video to social media. Retweet it. Put it on Pinterest. Put it anywhere you can that WWE is connected. Let them see that you are disenchanted with the current product and show that these are the kind of changes you want to see to improve the product. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you like what you see, click that like button down below, the little thumbs up. And if you don't want to miss a video, there's a button that says subscribe. You click that and you're tuned into Everything Wrestling Ranter. As soon as I make a video, it goes up and you see it. Ranter off the soapbox. Catch you guys later. Bye-bye.